One thing that you realize very quickly is that when you're an artist, you're not really a businessman either. That's
Absolutely.
something we haven't finished Stanford, School of Business, or went to
Yeah.
Harvard and learned from the best, like how to actually run business. That you have to have a lawyer, you have to talk with the right people and make right business choices that are not necessarily the choices that you would do as an artist,
So
because you
I
feel
got a
pure and
funny story about that, actually. I got a really funny story about that. So back in, I don't know, like 2006 maybe, um, one of my really good friends was going to Stanford Business School. Got accepted into Stanford. Super smart guy. He's like a pharmaceutical exec now or something.
right.
But at the time, he was going to Stanford Business School, which is a very competitive, prestigious program or whatever. And so I was like, hey man, well you're doing all this business theory shit. Why don't you come in and take a look at our books? And he's a fucking old friend of mine. I mean, I grew up with him back in Texas.
Right.
So he comes over and we open up our books and we let him kind of take a look at it and then and then we have this meeting where he's just like basically like, okay, so here's your trajectory and here's where you're going to be in 6 months, right? And you guys are going to be like deep, deep, deep underwater in 6 months. You guys business plan is fucked, right? And
He
we
opens book and is like, what
dude,
what in
no,
the
it
fuck?
was it was like, I mean, it was really funny because we were running this thing on all these like weird misconceptions. Early on we were like, okay, well, the for the flagship contract, for instance, like the big chunk of the contract was 3D work, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, for a long time we operated under the assumption that like, oh, we make all our money off of 3D, right? My boy comes in, starts fucking doing P&Ls, and realizes he's like, nah, man, you guys lose a shit ton of money on 3D because you got all these fucking American artists here that you're paying, these high salaries for making this stuff. Where you really make your money is on concept. Well, what's funny about that is for like, I mean, a year or so, like concept had been kind of the redheaded stepchild of Massive Black, where we always got shit on, and it was always, oh, fuck the concept. Everyone was always concept. And then we
Fuck what
started
we do
realizing, like, oh,
best.
shit, we've been paying the bills all this time. Go
Right.
figure. But classic hubris. Uh, we're like, no, 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 that's not how the industry works. You don't know how this industry works. We'll figure it out. And, and we didn't. And there was lots of bad things happened, and you make lots of mistakes, and you fail hard, and you fail worse than you ever possibly thought you could. You fail in ways that like you're embarrassed to tell your family because you don't want them worrying about you. You know what I mean? I feel like that was the thing with Massive Black is it's just like you get used to. Are you familiar with that Charlie Kaufman movie Schenectady, New York?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's a great fucking movie, and
I'm gonna have to see it.
the sum of it is it's about the artistic process, an artistic obsession, right? And there's this thing that keeps happening in the movie where the guy wakes up and his house is just on fire, and but what's interesting is he doesn't freak out about it after a while. It's a very dreamlike movie. I mean, it
Hmm.
feels like a dream, but the analogy in there that stuck with me is just like Massive Black taught me to get used to my house being on fire. You
That's
know what I
pretty
mean?
much running business, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, you just get used to it, man. Because in the beginning, yeah, oh God, you could stress out about any fucking one thing, right? But there comes a point where things are just so fucked and you're in so deep that you just wake up and you're like, well, house is on fire. Guess I'll go to work. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing else you can do. What are you going to do? You're going to crawl in a little ball? That's not going to fix it. I have so many mornings
Well, I
of
would hope to
memories of,
grab. I would hope to grab an extinguisher, and
yeah,
try to
no,
put it
totally.
down.
I have so many memories of mornings before going to work, standing there in the shower and just trying to make sense of how fucked my life was. You know what I mean? And just like, oh my God, like it's just, you know, but the silver lining to that is it makes you resourceful and
Yeah.
it gives you grit and it teaches you that like, hey, you know what? Like sometimes things are so fucked that you can't stop. Because if you stop, I mean, I don't know what happens after that, you know? So, I mean, I feel like, Massive Black has been a really great experience for me with that. I mean, it taught me that you can dig deeper than you ever would have thought. And that's not even just on a specific project, but it's on steering the ship and
Yeah.
feeding people and, kind of taking care of these things. It's like, fucking Christ, man. I mean, and to touch back on what you said, I mean, we're artists, man. I mean, I'm my happiest when I'm sitting in my studio making pictures. That's my safe place. You
Yeah,
know,
you don't want to deal with
sitting
QuickBooks and lawyers
sitting
and
in these meetings and going over budgets or trying to figure out what money's going to look like in 6 months or things like that. It's like these aren't things that I signed on for,
yeah.
and there are things that I mean, there are these inevitables that you have to deal with, but I mean, they don't come naturally. There is a huge curve on it, and if you're fucking lucky, you can fall on your good graces and end up okay somehow. You know.
Yeah, it definitely teaches you to be really resourceful, and the truth is, you either succeed or you learn. Like every failure you get through any, whether it's big or not, big or small failure, it's still sort of like a learning process. You learn a lesson. Okay, this is not the way you run it. This is not the way you do it. And then you try to find the resources, or you try to find the answers, and that's how you learn. That's how you grow and progress. That's how it basically you learn to become a businessman, really, because
I feel
there's
like
just
it.
so many times you're gonna run into those issues, right?
Well, it's funny because when you start out, everyone like, God, people are just so fucking idealized. Everything's black and white. You know, and you start
Always.
a business and you start seeing the gray in between. And after a while, you just start realizing that, like, ah, shit, like you run a business, you got to live in the gray, man. You know what I mean? You're living in those shades of gray. It's not black and white. Nothing is. It's interesting because it changes your whole philosophy about everything. I mean, even to touch on the political landscape, this election and all that shit. It's like you see people they just want it one way, and that goes for everybody. I mean, I'm so like I trip out so hard on the people that are just like, Obama's completely ruined this country, he's destroyed everything. Because I'm like, man, have you ever fucking run anything? You know what it's like to try to compromise with people. You know what it's
You
like.
run a company and then fucking think about being
Try running
a
the
leader of the world.
United States. I can't even fucking imagine what that's like. And yes, you're gonna make enemies. And yes, at the end, everyone's gonna be pissed at you because you gotta make everybody kind of happy, right? That's the way it fucking works, man.
Yeah, I mean, everyone
So,
has different opinions, and the worst part about it is that some people just become really militant about that.
hmm?
Like,
Well,
I have my own opinion, fuck you, I don't care what you
that's
think, I'm gonna actually kill you because you have different opinion too. So
well,
that's the
I
biggest
think
problem
I
there.
think it's great to have convictions, and I think it's great to be idealistic about things you believe in. But at the same time, you have to be realistic about
Yeah.
compromise and the fact that like the world just does not fucking work like that. And if you want to fucking walk through the world and say, I think things should be this way, eventually you're gonna be a fucking crazy guy talking to yourself in the corner because that's not how the fucking world works, you know?
Yep, yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, I feel like running a business has been singly the most educational experience for me on that.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
I couldn't agree with you better. I mean, we've been running Learn Squared for almost a year now, and
Mhm.
the amount of shit you have to go through every day. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, you have to have an accountant? What?
Yeah. That's a fun one, isn't it?
uh,
Oh,
no, it's just like you learn about those little fees and the fucking little nicks and grannies, like little fucking things that are hidden there in the law, and
tax.
then IRS just knocks to your door and like, hey, you
Yeah.
guys pay taxes yet? Like, what
Tax?
taxes? What
What?
is what is?
Why do I owe all this money in taxes? Dude, that's fucking crazy, man. Like taxes are a good one, man. I mean, of course, I feel like any artist that goes into business is going to fall into that trap at some point because,
Yeah,
like, you're gonna get a payday and then you're gonna be like, holy shit, I got all this money, and then you don't realize that like you really only get half of it, right? You
yeah.
get fucking
The other
nothing.
half just kind of goes away.
It's already gone. It's already just fucking out the window, right? But it's also it's so funny because you end up like I have so many like crazy experiences with that where it's just like, oh, we owe all this money to the IRS, and which we don't anymore. just to be clear. But
Yeah.
there's a point. Early on, it's like you make these fucking insane mistakes, and I remember there's a point where someone was like complaining to me about like a $500 parking ticket they got, and I was just like, man, I can't even go into how much I owe right now because like it's embarrassing and it would change how you look at me forever. You know what I mean? So
It's like they're fucking you in the ass, but not really, but you still feel that way.
well, it's funny to hear someone like complain about a $500 parking ticket when you're just like, motherfucker, like you don't even know, like you have no idea what it is. You know what I mean? You're complaining
Yeah.
about this thing that's like, yeah, it's a problem, but it's not like a fucking, I might have to flee the country problem. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
There's
I
a
mean, it's hard, man. I mean, artists. I don't know a single artist that didn't fall into the tax trap at some point. You know what I mean? I'm
you get
serious.
to. I mean, some are, you realize you have to pay taxes. So when you get that net amount, like, okay, let's assume the half of it kind of goes away and kind of start with that. I know a lot of people don't do that, which is, I guess, like the
Well,
shittiest mistake you can make.
that's my advice to anyone out there doing this, just starting out in this. Is when you get that paycheck, just half it.
Yeah,
Just fucking
yeah.
half it, because that's
But
really
there's like when you start a company, for instance, like what kind of paperwork you're gonna do, like
yeah.
what kind of corporation is it gonna be? It's gonna be C corp, S corp,
Yep.
LLC, or 20 other options, and like each of them have different laws. Each of them require different filing, and
Yep.
you have to like categorize yourself as a specific company and pay specific taxes. And if you don't pay one, then you have to pay another, and you quickly realize you can do like there's like those online services like Gusto where they help you with that, but you quickly realize like there's so much small shit that
Yeah.
it might cost you thousands of dollars and you don't even know,
Yep.
especially when you're running a business that is, it's not like you're doing it yourself, especially when you do it with others, right? It's like
Well,
one.
that's scary, right? Because then you have people that are kind of relying on you not to fuck up, and
And
that's
vice versa. It's almost like
yeah,
marriage, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're joking around with Ash and Andrew. Like we're almost like, it's like a secret gay marriage there,
Mhm.
financial gay marriage going on. Like
Yeah.
a threesome, because like really, if any of us fuck up, then we're all in shit.
And let me tell you, man, that is painful too, dude.
There's a lot of trust you have to build for sure.
Partner shit is like harder than a marriage, harder than a marriage,
Yeah.
and ending a partnership is totally like a fucking divorce, man. I mean, it is the exact same thing, and it's funny because I mean, I've been down that road, and it's funny because when you deal with the lawyers and shit, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is exactly like a divorce." Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the two are like intrinsically linked. I mean, it's essentially the same experience,
I
except you're
mean,
not fighting for
tax
kids.
wise, it's almost the same, isn't it? I mean, you have to almost like divide, the wealth between the
Yep.
partners and make sure that
Cut the
who's
baby in
more
half.
guilty and who isn't.
Yeah. Well, it's hard.
um,
It's really hard, and I mean,
yeah.
I definitely, over the years, I'll be upfront. I mean, I definitely didn't have the best luck with that, but
Hey, but you learn that way, I mean,
live
the
and learn.
mistakes you
That's
make, it's a
absolutely.
learning lesson for you.
And
Uh,
looking back, it's like it's no hard feelings. I don't have any resentment towards
yeah.
anyone. At this point, it's like,
I think it affects your life in a way that it's actually better for you to fail miserably, especially on the business side, because then whenever you start new business or you're getting into contracts with studios, you think about it differently. You look at yourself as not just an artist that I'm just happy to work. You look at the worth that you're bringing to the project, that how much really worth you are, especially when you start to realize, okay, I'm getting so many offers right now, or
mhm,
this is going so well. Why am I still getting, fucked in the ass because I'm just like accepting everything as it is? And
mhm,
that's when you start to see the difference between just an artist that works for the industry and basically kind of accepts everything that goes, like, oh, the studio is giving me contract, I'm gonna sign it because it's just there's no way to negotiate. When you get to the world of negotiating contract, especially when you're on the other end and you see it from like both sides, you start to
mhm.
realize like that's not really that's not necessarily true. You know, even if you're working with the biggest studio, you still have room to
Oh,
talk. And it's not like you're talking to production designer or art director that wants to hire you. They just want to hire you because they want a great artist for the project. You're
mhm.
talking with a lawyer. It has
Yeah,
nothing to do with, you know, with whether you're gonna work or not, unless you have like really unreasonable expectations, you know.
yeah, yeah, totally.
So there's a lot of things you learn that way,
Fuck.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's an education in and of itself.
Yeah.